under some kind of death threat.
He said something big was gonna happen. Somebody has to punish the corrupt. You're fighting a war. This is just the beginning.
God be with you, Frank.
Sometimes I'd like to get my hands on God. Punisher Warzone.
Yeah, that's still the best Punisher movie we've gotten so far. I mean, I saw the Dolph Lundgren run, I saw the Thomas Jane one, but this is the best Punisher we've ever had in a movie or TV form. Okay, maybe I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. John Bernthal was really good. Shane from The Walking Dead and the Netflix show. But in terms of movies, this one is the best one of the three that I've seen. Here you have the late Ray Stevenson playing Frank Castle, the ex-military man whose family was killed by criminals, who becomes a vigilante known as the Punisher, going after a whole mob family against everyone except enforcer Billy Risotto, played by Dominic West. He tracks Risotto down and chases him into a vat that is used for crushing bottles, and Frank turns the crusher on, hoping it would take care of him, but it doesn't. He survives, but sustains very serious injuries that even with plastic surgery has his face looking like a jigsaw puzzle, so he decides to adopt the name Jigsaw. Frank, who's killed one of his people who is unknown to him, is an undercover Fed and decides to pack it in. But when he learns that Risotto didn't die and is looking for the money he entrusted to the Feds and will go looking for it at his home, which means his family is in danger. So Frank tries to save them, but Risotto wants revenge on Frank, so he breaks off his brother, who is so crazy that he is committed to an asylum to deal with him. And yeah, overall, this is the best Punisher movie. Like I said before, I mean, this is still the best of the three films. Yes, there is a lot of problems here, and there are a lot of problems all across the board in here, but this is about as close to a Punisher movie that we've gotten that has actually lived up to what the comics were about. And yeah, it's just a very good movie. Ray Stevenson, such a good Punisher in here. He's good as Frank Castle, combining both the conflicts of life without his family and being the hard-ass Punisher going around killing people. And then Dominic West gives this great over-the-top performance as Jigsaw that's a lot of fun to watch. And there's a lot of good supporting roles in the cast here, specifically Wayne Knight, who really captures Microchip very well. I was actually really surprised how good he was. The violence is over the top, but at the same time, it's fun. Like, it's so much fun to watch how the Punisher takes care of their targets, and it's so satisfying to watch. It's just, okay, it's kind of like watching a Saw movie. It's just like, what new and creative ways are they going to go around killing people? And they do it in some very fun, over-the-top, silly ways. It's also a well-paced movie. There's no points that feel like they're lagging. It moves at a normal 3-act structure. Those are the positives I have for the film. There are some negatives. The movie kind of starts off with a story pretty slowly. It doesn't really distance itself from other superhero movies, and it really doesn't feel like they wanted to try anything different in that department. Like, we have a moment that's right out of the first Batman movie where Jigsaw sees a doctor after his incident, and he gives the cliche line, "Don't call me this, call me Jigsaw." Like, we've seen that done before over and over and over again, and it feels unnecessary here. The action sequences themselves also aren't as impressive as they could have been. I feel like they could have been so much more interesting and more intriguing to watch overall here. But maybe the biggest problem overall is whether Lexi Alexander, the director of this, wants to play the story seriously or play it for laughs. And with the over-the-top violence, you could see maybe she's playing it for laughs, but then when you get to the story, it seems like they're getting too serious about it, and it really contradicts what direction they're trying to go for here. The only person within the film that was actually trying to bring the Punisher to form was Stevenson, as he's the only one who actually kind of gives a crap about his role in this. And yeah, it just makes this a good Punisher movie. This is still the best one of the bunch. And yeah, it's not going to join the ranks of some of Marvel's best movies as a whole, but if I was to recommend a Punisher movie out of the three that we've had, definitely this one is the best one in general. But I would tell them also, go in there expecting a lot of things to not make a whole lot of sense. But if you want a good, fun Punisher movie that's better than the other ones you've gotten, look no further than Punisher Warzone. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Cadillac Records.
If I play it, I make you famous and him rich. Question is, how bad do you want it?
Chicago, 1950. There was money and power. There was black and white. And there was music that crossed the line. Based on true events of the legends who created that sound.
We crossed over. We got a hit record.
Adrian Brody, Jeffrey Wright, and Beyonce Knowles. Cadillac Records, rated R. In theaters December 5th.
One of those movies that you really look at and think that there's good possibilities of what they could do here, but they don't stick the landing, and I think it really hurts the film in the long run. The story here is that you have 1947 in Chicago. You have a Jewish immigrant from Poland and bar owner Leonard Chess, played by Adrian Brody, who hires a blues combo, including guitarist Muddy Waters, played by Jeffrey Wright, and harmonica player Little Walker, played by Columbus Short. Waters and Walter's success leads to Chess opening the doors for black musicians and begins a new record label in 1950 called Chess Records. This attracts stars like Etta James, played by Beyonce Knowles, Howlin' Wolf, who's played by Iman Walker, and Chuck Berry, played by Mos Def. And inevitably, business and personal lives blur as the somewhat turbulent lives of the musicians play out. And that's kind of where the film falls apart, is that it's a very predictable storyline here, and it's one of those movies where the performances are really good, but the story really is your typical music biopic storyline here, and it just kind of falls apart pretty quickly, even though the stars in here are really good. You got Beyonce Knowles, Jeffrey Wright, Adrian Brody, Cedric the Entertainer, Gabrielle Union, Columbus Short, Emmanuel Shariki, Mos Def, Eric Bogosian. I mean, a good cast overall here. A solid director overall, Darnell Martin, who's made a couple of underrated little gems, like I Like It Like That, and Those Eyes Are Watching God, the Halle Berry movie that she did for ABC. But it's the story that really kind of falls apart here, because there's really nothing new that catapults this into something that is something new, unique, and different. And it feels like they're trying to copy the success of Dreamgirls in a way, especially with Beyonce Knowles in there. But, I mean, the performances overall are what carry it, and something I would say it's something you should definitely check out. But other than that, though, there's not really much there I can really recommend about the film in general, besides the performances. I think the performances are the one thing that holds it together, but even then, at the very most, I think it's worthy of a one-time watch to see some really solid performances all across the board. And, hey, Adrian Brody proves that he did make a couple of good movies that, after he won his first Oscar with The Pianist, I mean, his career after the first Oscar win was not a complete disaster, at least not yet, at least. He was making some good movies, but he did make his fair share of bad ones that we've talked about before, and ones we'll certainly get into in the years to come. But as of this film, mixed opinion. For a one-time watch, I think it's perfectly salvageable, but other than that, though, you're not going to want to watch it again after it, So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that's Alan Rickman starring in an ensemble crime comedy, Nobel's Son.
Let's go. Are you going with him, Madam? Why? It's just a choice, Berkeley.
Can't make him cry. First, you lose my money, which is supposed to lead us to Barkley. And then there's no word from Barkley. Oh, make him pay. $1 million.
Yeah.
You go to Northwest Entrance.
Who is he? Nobody's driving the car.
You never heard of struggle.
I ain't here,
You don't want him to think you faked the kidnapping, do you?
What the?
Nobel's Son.
And speaking of movies that have been pretty much been there, done that, you've seen this storyline done before. A dysfunctional family dealing with the kidnapping of their son, played by Brian Greenberg, for ransom, knowing that the father, played by Alan Rickman's winning of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And Mary Steenburgen plays his wife. You see Bill Pullman in here, Danny DeVito, and Elijah Dushku, which, I'll be honest with you, the only reason I wanted to see this movie was because Elijah Dushku gets naked. And, hey, I was 19 years old when this came out. So, yeah, I'll freely admit to that. And watching it, I'll say it's not the worst, but it's definitely a film you've seen done to death before so many times in the past. I mean, you've seen this story done before in much better movies. I mean, stuff like Saving Silverman, Ruthless People, not even Trading Places, but, there have been so many other movies with this same plot line that have been done so much better. And I guess you could say this isn't the worst one of the bunch, but it's definitely a very formulaic movie. And again, kind of like with Cadillac Records, I think it's the performances that kind of stick with it, so it is tolerable at least. I mean, everybody here plays their parts to a T. I mean, you get a movie with Alan Rickman, Danny DeVito, and Bill Pullman and Mary Steenburgen in it. I mean, it's going to turn out to be somewhat entertaining on that front. And yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's a film that you got to know going into it what exactly it is. And if you don't want to see another formulaic movie like this that you've seen done to death before, you probably aren't going to like it. But if you go into it wanting to see something good out of it, like some good performances from the veteran actors in here, you definitely get that in here. But it's one I'd say I would not recommend as a must-see film. Maybe as a one-time watch, kind of like with Cadillac Records. I think you'll be more than perfectly salvageable with that. So with that said, let us go ahead and move on to the last film we have here. Easily the best film of the entire weekend. Ron Howard's latest film, Frost Nixon.
When a nation demanded answers,
No one has pinned anything on you.
one man
He was doing the wrong thing and knew it.
I know nothing.
took on the wrath of a president.
Give Richard Nixon the trial he never had.
I don't think the truth will ever come out.
Corruption, hush money, dishonesty. We're gonna have to ambush him.
I'm gonna let that happen someday.
This is just madness. I will ruin you if I die.
I shall come to you with everything I got. Frost Nixon with law now playing.
Based off of Peter Morgan's famous Broadway play of the same name, which won Frank Langella a Tony Award, this one, Peter Morgan's legendary battle between Richard Nixon, played by Langella, as the disgraced president with a legacy to save, and David Frost, played by Michael Sheen, a jet-setting television personality with a name to make, in the story of the historic encounter that changed both of their lives. For 3 years after being forced from office, Nixon remained silent, but in the summer of 1977, the steely, cunning former commander-in-chief agrees to sit for one all-exclusive interview to confront the questions of his time in office in the Watergate scandal that had ended his presidency. Nixon surprised everyone in selecting Frost as his televised confessor, intending to easily outfox the breezy British showman and secure a place in the hearts and minds of Americans, as well as the $600,000 fee. Likewise, Frost's team harbors doubts about their boss's ability to hold his own, but his cameras rolled, a charred battle of wits resulted. And just like the Broadway play itself, this is a movie that works because of the performances by Frank Langella and Michael Sheen. It's a battle between two guys who, one of them is supposed to be so slick and so easy to, hoping that he's going in for a good interview, because he chooses this guy who comes off as this kind of peppy, eccentric guy. But no, Michael Sheen goes in there and really just breaks down the house with him, and it's a really good movie with these two guys going at it. And not only with those two guys, you have a cast that includes some top talents: Kevin Bacon, Rebecca Hall, Toby Jones, Matthew McFadden, Oliver Platt, Sam Rockwell. Just a really, really good cast overall in this movie. And it's hard to believe that there has been so many movies about Richard Nixon, and all of them have been pretty good. Anthony Hopkins starred in Nixon back in '95, the Oliver Stone movie, which was a really good, interesting character study on Richard Nixon as a whole, done very well in that movie. And then in 1981, Philip Baker Hall starred in the movie version about Richard Nixon. 1984, it was called Secret Honor, directed by Robert Altman. It's a great movie where Philip Baker Hall just dominates in that performance as Richard Nixon. It's a film you should definitely check out. I don't know if it's available to stream or it's on Blu-ray or DVD or not, but if you can find that movie somewhere, definitely look for that film, because that's a great film. This is a really good movie. It's a really good film that does a great job of getting you inside the minds of both of these guys. You have two different interviewers. You have two different people in an interview. On one side, you have the journalist that wants to do his job and get into Richard Nixon's head. And then you have the other guy, Richard Nixon, where he thinks that this is going to be a cakewalk interview, but he really has to go in there and challenge, keeping it together until the point where he basically decides to blurt out the truth that he didn't think anyone would ever know. And it just does a very good job of handling that. It's a really engaging film that just keeps you invested all across the board here. And it's one of Ron Howard's most underrated movies as a filmmaker. It did not do well at the box office, unfortunately, but it did go on to be nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Frank Langella for Best Actor, Ron Howard for Best Director, and Best Picture. It's a great movie. It's one you should definitely check out. It's easily one of the best movies that came out that year. Frost Nixon, a great, great film. Can't recommend this one enough.
Your attention, please. Make your way directly across the courtyard to the main barracks. Leave all your cell phones and cameras here. Helen, I thought it was important to have you part of this team. Don't be afraid.
Afraid of what?
I'm going to ask you a series of control questions. Are you currently in a seated position?
Yes,
Do you feel pain?
my body does.
Are you human?
My body is.
General Quinn needs to see you in the briefing room. He says it's urgent.
Are you aware of an impending attack?
On the planet Earth.
I'll repeat the question.
Did you feel that? Feel what? You should let me go. If the Earth dies, you die. If you die, the Earth survives.
Boy, talk about a major letdown. I mean, it was already going to be hard to top one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made, but man, this missed the mark big time. You have Keanu Reeves starring as Klaatu, of course, the alien sent to try to change human behavior in an effort to save Earth from environmental degradation, and this version replaces the Cold War-era theme of political nuclear warfare with the contemporary issue of negative human impact on the environment. And as you see in the trailer, Jennifer Connelly, Jaden Smith, John Hamm, Kathy Bates, and also John Cleese is in here as well as 80 Miles from Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, one of the writers on that. And man, there's just so many things about this movie that just don't work in particular. I mean, Keanu Reeves is doing the best he can as Klaatu. I think that's not bad casting at all, but the biggest problem with the movie is quite simply that it's kind of a lame remake. And yeah, the visuals do look incredible in here, but at the same time, it's just kind of like what I've always said before. Visuals don't always make the movie. You gotta have more than just great visuals to it, and the film has a really lackluster script to work with here. I mean, they should have gotten much better writers to modernize the story of the day the Earth stood still for a new generation. There's a way you can make this movie and make it well done, and this movie almost does it. I mean, a good starring Keanu Reeves, a good cast. Scott Derrickson is not a bad director at all. He's made a lot of really good movies, with very rarely him missing the mark. I mean, his worst film's probably The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and even then, there's still elements to that film where you see the potential there, but really, I think the biggest flaw with the movie is that it just has a really bad script, and it just makes it feel like it's nothing more than a cash grab on the name The Day the Earth Stood Still. And it also doesn't help that one of the reasons why is that one of the people that needs to help decide if the Earth needs to be saved is that annoying Jaden Smith, who's literally there to just be annoying and whining and talking about how, oh, if my dad were here, he'd do this. If my dad was here, he'd do that. Well, guess what, Jaden? Will Smith ain't gonna show up here. I'm like Rick Pitino, you know. Will Smith ain't walking through that door. You've got Neo from The Matrix, and coincidentally, Will Smith was up for The Matrix at one point, so I guess that's what he was hoping for here. But still, I don't know if it was just a bad script overall, but man, he was so annoying in this movie, Jaden Smith was. And I don't hate Jaden Smith. I've liked him in movies. I've liked him in The Pursuit of Happiness, and he's going to be in the Karate Kid remake, where he was actually pretty good in about 2 years' time. But other than that, though, this and After Earth, you can kind of tell that he was not going to be anywhere near as good as his father is, in terms of acting, but the film just falls apart because of the bad script. It's a script that's so generic and so put together at the last minute because they had to get this movie out there so they could cash it on the name and put it out on the same weekend that I Am Legend did, which, like I said before, it's not anywhere near I Am Legend good. I mean, there's a potential that somebody could remake this and actually make it work. Even if you got Scott Derrickson to come back to it. Him and Cargill Carlisle from Spill.com, who's written movies with him in the past, I mean, they could probably make a better version of The Day the Earth Stood Still than the one they made here. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen anytime soon, but I wouldn't mind it per se. I would actually mind seeing somebody trying to remake this again, but as it is, it's a very bad remake. It's one of the year's worst movies, and just such a shame. The potential was clearly there for this film to really be good, and it just not so much. So that's The Day the Earth Stood Still. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie here. Not a good sign when you're releasing a Christmas movie after Thanksgiving, because usually if you have a good Christmas movie, you put it out before Thanksgiving so you get the traction going and the legs can carry it through the holidays. And, of course, this is coming out 2 weeks before Christmas, so that must mean Nothing Like the Holidays is bad, right?
You know what would be a great Christmas present for my parents? If they told me we were trying to have a baby.
A baby? When am I gonna have grandchildren? My mother had 10 at my age.
You guys should be up to 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, 8 kids. Does your plumbing work?
There's nothing like the holidays.
Merry Christmas!
Say cheese.
It's a time for family.
25 years I've been begging you to cut down that ugly tree, and all of a sudden you gotta do it right now?
Hey, wait, careful, stand back. You overcompensate a little bit, Dad. What? You got a little thingy.
It's a time for sharing.
I lost my virginity on that couch.
Me too.
Oh, ew. Oh,
Ew, you!
In your underwear.
It's a time to be thankful.
I love you guys so much.
It only happens once a year.
Why is everybody fighting?
And they're not fighting, we're conversating.
There's something I like to say. I'm leaving your father.
Come on, stop there. You can't. You're old.
You realize that this is probably the last Christmas that we'll spend together?
Why don't we do something? Let's go take that tree down now. Yeah.
What were you thinking?
You wanted a view. I was going to give you a view.
Family is the one thing.
I just want to enjoy Christmas with my family. Not that they make it so easy.
Everyone can relate to.
She's never gonna forgive that you dropped them. We could be friends, bro.
We can be friends.
That's white people.
Lean on me, yeah. When you're not strong. Anna, you're the only woman I've ever loved. I'll be your friend.
Sometimes you feel like you don't want the same things anymore, but you stick it through. And at the end of that, you fall in love all over again.
Nothing like the holidays.
Are you going to put money down on your husband that he seriously hurts himself? Thank you.
Put it down. Go to your room.
Not really. I mean, yeah, you can see from the trailer, it's a very standard formula from the movies that we've kind of talked about before. You got your Family Stone, your Dan in Real Life, your This Christmas. I mean, it's very much a very similar movie to that. And yeah, that could easily hurt the film from the get-go, but hey, you got a good cast in here, and they are able to make it work, all things considered. You have a story, and it has a unique little twist to it, too. And it's not just the same movie we've seen done before. But in this one, you have a Puerto Rican family living in the area of Humboldt Park, Chicago, facing what may be their last Christmas together. And the family includes Alfred Molina and Elizabeth Pena as the mother and as the father and as the husband and wife, and you have all these other family members: Luis Guzman, John Leguizamo, Deborah Messing, Alfred Molina, Freddie Rodriguez, Vanessa Felito, Jay Hernandez, and Melanie Diaz. So a pretty good cast overall in here, and yeah, it definitely has a lot of the same stuff that we've seen done before in other movies. I mean, we've seen a lot of the same elements are here. There's somebody who dies in the movie, and I'll give them credit for actually putting together a pretty good twist, because they do a pretty good job of telling you, not in the trailer, what exactly is the big twist in here. Yeah, somebody is going to die, but the way that they set it up here, they basically set it up because they think that one person is cheating on the other, and that's what the setup is, but they do a pretty good job of kind of like not making it not making it too obvious for you to figure out right away. But what makes the movie work for me, per se, is the casting. I think this is a really good, talented cast coming together here. I mean, you know, you got great people all across the board in here, really putting their heart and soul together for this, and they do feel like a real family in here. Everybody in here plays their parts very well. You could tell that everybody in here, our brother is our family. Like, you can buy them as a family unit all together, and it works very well. It does a very good job of lifting your spirits up, and yeah, it may be very formulaic in the story department, but as I've always said before, like, a story can be very formulaic, but if you're putting to get your best effort into other things like the performances, or maybe even the dynamics of the story changing around a little bit here, you can honestly get it up a notch to make it something that actually is worth it in the end. And I think this is something that's worth it. It's definitely the weaker of these movies. I would still rather watch Family Stone this Christmas or Dan in Real Life over this, but I didn't hate it. I actually did kind of enjoy it for what they did, for what they were able to accomplish here, and how good the acting is overall in here. And again, I do really like the twist they pull on you in this movie, because it's a twist that you can kind of start to see coming when we get closer to it, but it's not done in the way that you would expect it to do. And I think the performances regarding that twist overall, when they actually reveal what it is, are very well done. And you can understand why that person's trying to hide it and just, you know, keep it together during the holiday season. Everybody in this movie is great. Like, it's great to see Alfred Molina and, you know, the late Elizabeth Pena in here playing the patriarch and matriarch of the family, and you really do buy that they are a couple that still like each other, even though one is kind of distancing themselves from the other in this particular case here. But like I said, everybody plays their parts really well in here. The relationships they build in here are nicely done. It's just it's an entertaining movie. And I said that stuff like The Family Stone and Dan in Real Life and This Christmas kind of started this trend overall. It really began with Home for the Holidays in 1995, which I think is still one of the best underrated Thanksgiving movies you'll ever see. If you never saw that movie, directed by Jodie Foster, starring Holly Hunter, Robert Downey Jr., and Anne Bancroft among its cast, definitely check that one out, because that's the one I would say, watch that one first, then go into the other ones. There really has not been a bad one of these movies in general. Most of them have been pretty formulaic, but they get by because the performances carry it all the way through. And this is one where, yeah, a lot of it is very formulaic, a lot of it's been there, done that, but because the performances carry it through, and it does throw those little twists and turns in there, it makes it kind of worth it in the end. So, mixed opinion, but my thumb is leaning towards it being up more than it is being down. I like it. It's one that every once in a while I'll put it on during the holiday season, but it's not one you're going to want to watch every single year, though. It certainly is a lot better than the other Christmas film outing this year, Four Christmases, I'll give you that, but really, that's not really saying a whole lot. But anyway, that's nothing like the holidays, so let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is Delgo.
Mystical land beyond imagination. Two opposing races forged a peace they thought would last forever. They were wrong. When a forgotten enemy returns,
Your reign has come to its end.
the fate of their world
We cannot let this go unchallenged.
lies with a spirited princess and an unlikely hero.
Delgo! You're alive!
Well, I gotta be honest with you, those video game graphics don't actually look too bad. I mean, for the PlayStation 3 back then, when this movie was coming out, or the Xbox, I mean, this looks pretty cool. And wait, this was actually a movie, and it cost $40 million to make. That's $40 million. Oh, crap. Yeah, this movie is notorious for being one of the biggest animation bombs, if not the biggest animation bomb of all time. But clearly you can't see. I mean, it's hard to see why, because of those amazing graphics that would probably play well on, like I said, a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360, and not on a big movie screen. Okay, let's talk about the plot for this mess of a movie. Some people it might be a nightmare. But in an exotic, divided land, Delgo, an adventurous dreamer but naive teenager, must rally his group of troubled youths and some unlikely friends to protect their world from conflicts between the terrestrial Luckney people, who harness the mystery of the land, and the winged Norran people who rule the skies. They lived segregated in an uneasy peace until Delgo was framed for a crime he did not commit. After enlisting the help of an unlikely friend to escape a Nori prison, Delgo discovers Imhoff is in danger, so he must unite the two races against a common foe. And do you really give a shit? I mean, come on. Come on. Like, this movie was one of those movies that I had heard about. I knew it was playing at my theater, but, you know, good and goddamn well, I'm not going to spend my money to watch this garbage on a big screen. And yeah, having seen it later on down the road, and it's probably the best thing I could have done, because if I had seen this movie, this probably would have been the first one I would have ever walked out on, because, yeah, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And for a movie like this to have a budget of $40 million, where did that money go? Probably the casting in here, because, yeah, you got Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, Anne Bancroft in her last film, John Vernon in his last film before he died, Chris Kattan, Louis Gossett Jr., Burt Reynolds, Eric Idle, Michael Clark Duncan, Kelly Ripa, Val Kilmer, Malcolm McDowell, Sally Kellerman. A good cast if you had a really good movie to work with here, and not whatever the hell this is. I mean, it doesn't help that the movie looks so ugly. And looks like it's such generic BS. Like, you can't even tell what these characters are supposed to be. Like, what species are they supposed to be? Are they supposed to be, like, frog people? Lizards? Like, what am I looking at here? Like, it's such a disastrous movie, man. And this is such a mess of a film that it's amazing they spent all that money on this, and this was the end result of that. And just goes to show you that they probably did not use that money well at all. This money was probably spent for, like, drugs and, you know, nights on the town, hookers and blow. I mean, strip nights at the strip club. I mean, anything else but making this movie. And then they realized, and then when the marketer for this film called them and said, "Hey, how's the movie going?" And it's just like, oh shit, we got to put this together in like 20 minutes. So that's what this feels like. This movie feels like it was put together in 20 minutes. And this is all they had to work with here. And just, do I really need to say more about this? It's freaking Delgo, man. Like, this is terrible. This is absolutely awful. Awful, awful, awful. So, with that said, let's get to the Oscar contenders, because we are in Oscar season, and we have 4 other movies to get to here. Most of them were contenders for Academy Awards. Some of them got them, others not so much. Let's start off with the first one here, and that's Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Viola Davis and Amy Adams in Doubt.
Concerned about matters in St. Nicholas School.
Behind these walls,
Father Flynn called Donald Miller to the rectory.
It's happened.
there is suspicion.
What exactly are you accusing me of?
Behind these walls, there is a mystery.
I don't think Father Flynn did anything wrong.
And why do you look like you've seen the devil?
Behind these walls,
What did you hear? What did you see that convinced you so thoroughly?
only one thing is certain. Doubt. Rated PG-13.
It's 1964, St. Nicholas in the Bronx, where a charismatic priest played by Philip Seymour Hoffman is trying to upend the school's strict customs, which had long been fiercely guarded by Sister Aloysius Beaver. I believe that's Meryl Streep, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Meryl Streep. The Iron Glove principal who believes in the power of fear-based discipline. The winds of political change are sweeping through the community, and indeed the school has just accepted its first black student. But when Sister James, a hopeful innocent, shares with Sister Aloysius her guilt-inducing suspicion that Father Flynn is paying too much personal attention to Donald, Sister Aloysius... Is it Aloysius or Aloysius? I think that's Aloysius. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just going to go with it for the rest of this going forward. Her guilt-inducing suspicion that Father Flynn is paying too much personal attention to Donald. Sister Aloysius sets off on a personal crusade to unearth the truth and try to expunge Flynn from the school. Now without a shred of proof besides her moral certainty, Sister Aloysius locks into a battle of wills with Father Flynn, which threatens to tear apart the community with irrevocable consequences. Notable about this movie is that this is actually written and directed by John Patrick Shanley, his first film he wrote and directed since Joe vs. the Volcano, which was one of my favorite movies from 1990. This is definitely not one of my favorite movies from 1990, but it's not from this year, I should say 1990, good lord, from this year, but it's a really good movie. It works because of the strong performances by Meryl Streep and also Philip Seymour Hoffman and Amy Adams. You know, Viola Davis, this was kind of the movie that broke her out a little bit. Everybody kind of didn't know who she was until this, because she got an Academy Award nomination for this. And it is a really good movie. It's a very engaging movie that doesn't feel like the typical, you know, priest movie that we see before. I mean, it's a very different kind of film. And it works on the same levels as something more recently like Conclave did. Conclave kind of worked because it took chances and it wasn't a typical movie that had all the trappings of a typical drama set in the world of a church. they actually did something unique and new with that movie in particular. And they do something new and different here. It's a very unique film with a lot of really good acting talents all across the board in here. Great direction, great cinematography by Roger Deakins, some great music by Howard Shore. And Philip Seymour Hoffman giving another really great performance in here. And everybody here giving a really good performance. It's a very engaging film. And it's one of those it's a very underrated movie. It's a film that I think doesn't get as much attention as it should, but it's still a really good movie. It's definitely one you want to check out, especially if you like the works of John Patrick Shanley, who, of course, did Moonstruck. He got the Oscar for writing the script for that. And, this is a good film. It's a really entertaining film. It's one I recommend checking out. Doubt is one you should see. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Clint Eastwood starring in Gran Torino.
Come here, girl.
Stop! Let go!
What you looking at, old man?
Ever notice how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with? That's me.
Man, you crazy, man. Get out of here, man.
Dad, you worked hard your whole life. Maybe it's time you started thinking about taking it easier. These places are nothing like what you think they'd be. They're great. Kicking us out on his birthday. I told you this was a bad idea.
What the hell these Chinese have to move in this neighborhood for?
Dorothy mentioned specifically that it was her desire for you to go to confession.
And I confess that I have no desire to confess to a boy that's just out of the seminary. Get off my lawn.
You better watch your back.
Thank you.
Definitely the better Clint Eastwood movie that came out in 2008. Not like Changeling. But this is a movie where you have Eastwood starring as Walt Kowalski, who's a recently widowed Korean War veteran, alienated from his family, with Kowalski's neighbor, Thao Van Loor, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who's pressured by his cousin into stealing Waltz's prize for Torino for his initiation into a gang. Walt thwarts the theft and develops a relationship with the boy and his family. And this is a really good movie, a really entertaining film where Clint Eastwood is just giving his all in this film. I mean, this is kind of the equivalent to, what he did with Unforgiven 16 years ago. Like Unforgiven was kind of seen as his last foray into the Western genre. This feels like one of the last big, great performances that you get from a guy like Eastwood here. But, of course, he's made a lot of good movies, a lot of good since then. But this is probably his last great masterpiece that I've seen from him. This is a really good film where he shows that the guy still has it, man. He still has what it takes. And he's put together an incredible cast in here that works very well, not just with the Hmong Americans in here, but also you see other people in here like Geraldine Hughes from Rocky Balboa, the priest in here played by, who's the priest in here? Trying to see if I can find his name in here. I can't remember what it was. Christopher Carley. He was also in Garden State, and he was also in, I just had the name of the movie there. Lions for Lambs, good lord. I just looked at the page on Wikipedia to see where exactly he was from, but more importantly, Brian Haley. Brian Haley is somebody I hadn't seen in any movie since 1994. I'm sure he had been in some other stuff before, and I think he was on Wings, but I was wondering where the hell he had been. I mean, he's a great character actor and somebody that I was kind of hoping would branch out into bigger things. But I think this was the last thing I saw him in. And he's very good. He's a very good actor in here. You also have Dreamer Walker, who's of course gone on to star in stuff like Don't Trust to Be in Apartment 23, which was a great show. She's been in a lot of other stuff. John Carroll Lynch, a great character actor. Scott Eastwood, of course. But the film is so well done. It's so well put together. And Eastwood really does come off of this character that somebody like this guy in real life. And you know that it's interesting to see him be so alienated from everybody. But when he sees the family next door in trouble, he has to go in and do something. And and do something about it. And, you think it starts off because, he wants him to get off of his yard because he's an old man. But as time goes on and the family gets closer to him, he starts to open his heart up a little bit more. And it does lead into a lot of engaging and entertaining excitement all throughout the film. It's a very good movie that really does work all across the board. It's a film that really is one of Clint Eastwood's best movies, and one I always like to go back to every once in a while. This really is the last great masterpiece I've seen from Eastwood. Even though he's made a lot of great movies since then, you know, he's made some great stuff like Sully was really good. Of course, American Sniper, and I've even heard his latest film, Juror Number 2, which did not get a big release anywhere, is supposedly really, really good, but it's fucking Warner Brothers, and David Zaslav is willing to lose more money than actually put a movie out there that actually they believe in. I mean, how do you do that to one of the most respectable people that has ever worked for your studio, Clint Eastwood? But yeah, with all that said, though, Gran Torino is still probably one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies of all time. It's a film where he gives it his all. One of the really great last performances he ever gave on screen. I mean, it's such a good movie, man. It's such a good movie, and I always like to go back to it. Very good film. If you have not seen Gran Torino, definitely check it out, because you're doing yourself a major disservice by missing it. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie here, and that's Kate Winslet and Ralph Fiennes starring in The Reader.
She acknowledged the effect she'd had on your life.
She had done much worse to other people.
You were picking women out and saying you and you and you have to be sent back to be killed.
No.
Have you spent much time thinking about the past?
It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I feel. The dead are still dead.
The Reader. I didn't see The Reader. That was completely pointless. Anytime I think of The Reader, I always think of Hugh Jackman hosting the Oscars, and during the opening musical number, he's talking about The Reader being this movie that was I think was one of the Best Picture nominees, and he's doing the song about all the nominees, and he gets to The Reader, and he's just like, I didn't see The Reader, because I don't think anybody ever saw The Reader before we got to the Academy Awards, and I mean, really, it's not that hard to see why, because this movie really isn't all that good. You got a story here about Michael Berg, played by Ralph Fiennes, who's a German lawyer who has a 15-year-old in 1958, has a sexual relationship with an older woman, played by Kate Winslet. She disappears only to resurface years later as one of the defendants in a war crimes trial, stemming from her actions as a guard in a Nazi concentration camp. Michael realizes that Hannah is keeping a personal secret she believes is worse than her Nazi past, a secret which, if revealed, could help her at the trial. And some historians criticize the film for making Schmitz an object of the audience's sympathy and accuse the filmmakers of Holocaust revisionism. I don't know about that, but yeah, the movie is kind of your typical Oscar baitish movie. And the fact that Kate Winslet won the Oscar for this for Best Actress, this really isn't her best performance. She won that Oscar solely because of her body of work. We talk about this every once in a while. You get an Oscar, if somebody wins an Academy Award, and it's all of a sudden it's just like you get it's not even for a good performance. We're doing it because we've realized that we should have given you one in the past. So here's your body of work Oscar. It'd be like the equivalent of me having an Oscar, but they just gave it to me because, I don't know, somebody was bored and nobody wanted it. So here you go. But and yes, I brought this out here to use as a prop once again. I know I said the last time I wouldn't do it, but I can't help it, man. I still really like this. This literally does feel like a real live Oscar, but we're not here to talk about my Oscar. Or we could if you want to, because that's certainly a lot better than this movie here. And to add more proof to maybe this being a body of work Oscar in general, the category itself that year was not that great of a year in general. I mean, there are some performances that I feel like could have been given to so much better performances. Meryl Streep got nominated for Doubt. Melissa Leo got nominated for Frozen River. Angelina Jolie was nominated for Changeling. Anne Hathaway was nominated for Rachel Getting Married. If there was one that I probably would have given it to, I probably would have given it to Anne Hathaway, but a couple weeks from now we're going to see why she didn't win the Oscar, but she would eventually win it, of course. But I feel like there's so many other better movies that Kate Winslet could have been nominated for and won the Oscar for, but this really is not one of her better performances. And even Ralph Fiennes, who never misses a beat with his performances, even he's kind of laying it kind of thick in this one. I don't know. I really did not like this one all that much. I just thought it was a really boring movie. It's more billed as a romantic drama, too, and there is not a lot of good romance in this movie. And it just, it just doesn't work. It's a film that is just so bland and so lazy, and it doesn't really give you an idea of what the overall theme and message that they're going for here. What are they trying to get? What am I supposed to take away from this movie in general? And I just never see it in this movie. It's one of those ones that just is like, yeah, I would have replaced this movie's nominations at the Oscars with a much better movie in general, but I mean, I'm not running the Academy Awards, but hey, I got the Oscar behind me, so at least there's that. So, okay, moving on here. So, yeah, overall, The Reader, not a very good film, and I feel like Kate Winslet should have gotten an Oscar for a much better performance than this. But with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is a long movie about the life of Che Guevara, directed by Steven Soderbergh, starring Benicio del Toro.
Y para triunfar, uno tiene que vivir como si ya hubiera muerto.
How does it feel to be a symbol?
A symbol of what?
And I do mean a long movie. This is a film that's spanned into 2 parts and runs for like over 5 hours long. But to its credit, it makes the 5 hours worth it. It's actually a pretty good movie, but then again, Steven Soderbergh's a pretty damn good director. So you have 2 parts here. The first part is called The Argentine and focuses on the Cuban Revolution from the landing of Fidel Castro, Guevara, and other revolutionaries in Cuba to their successful topping of Fulgencio Batista's dictatorship 2 years later. And so part 2 is titled Guerrilla and focuses on Guevara's attempts to bring revolution to Bolivia and his demise. And they're both shot in cinema verite style and each have different approaches to linear narratives, camera work, and visual look. And they have a cast that includes some notable names across the board here. Demian Bichir, Rodrigo Santoro, Santiago Cabrera, Franca Potente, Julia Ormond, Lou Diamond Phillips, Edgar Ramirez, Matt Damon, Oscar Isaac, Jordi Malone. So there is a lot of good talent in this movie, and it is a very compelling movie. Yeah, this is one of those ones where if you can stand to watch a multiple-hour movie like this, it's worth checking out. I mean, I'm the guy that... I mean, I just named Hoop Dreams my favorite film of 1994. Hoop Dreams is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's a long movie, too. And I know there's people out there that just can't stand to sit there for over 4 hours to watch a movie, which doesn't make any sense because people will sit and watch a 3-hour movie, no problems whatsoever, but 4 or 5 hours? No way, Jose. But maybe it's because they don't realize they can take a break anytime they want to, but... when you watch both of these together, it's a very intriguing movie, and Benicio del Toro is really good as Che Guevara, and it makes this film so unique and very different compared to other films that are very similar to this. And, you know, most of them don't usually work very well, but the film keeps you invested all across the board, and it works because the performances are really good, and the camera work here is very well done. It's a very good movie. These 2 films are very good. I would say the first part is not as good as the second part is. I think the second part really is where the strongest stuff is at, but the first part overall is still a good movie. But the second part is really where the best stuff comes into play. I recommend it. It's one you should definitely check out if you can stand to sit through a multiple 5+ hour movie like this, and I think it's more than worth checking out. Che Guevara Part 1 and Part 2, directed by Steven Soderbergh. Definitely one worth checking out.
It's the first word we learn. And some people...
I'm having a funny hat and or wig party.
When is it?
Friday.
never grow out of it.
No. Yes.
But Carl's about to discover...
I do want to learn how to fly. Yes, I would like to learn Korean.
What he's always been missing.
You can say yes to everything.
Exactly. Yes, Man, in theaters this December.
Well, if Jim Carrey ain't gonna say it, then I'm gonna say it. No. No to this movie, man. This is another one of those movies where I saw it back in the day, didn't think it was all that bad overall, thought it was mostly kind of forgettable, and I mean, like I said, it wasn't a bad movie, it was just completely forgettable, and so after all these years, I'm getting ready to watch this again to talk about it, and yeah, it's not as good as I thought it was before, but you have Jim Carrey starring as Carl Allen, who's at a standstill, no future until the day he enrolls in a personal development program based on a very simple idea, say yes to everything. Carl discovers with amazement the magical power of yes and sees his professional romantic life turned upside down overnight. An unexpected promotion and a new girlfriend, played by Zooey Deschanel, but he'll soon discover that better can be good's enemy, and that not all opportunities should be taken. And that right there kind of sums up a lot of the major problems with the movie. This is another one of those movies that's trying to be something on the lines of something like a Liar Liar or a Bruce Almighty or Me, Myself, and Irene. The Jim Carrey formula where he's a normal guy, but he has this one quirk or some big magical fantastical event that has to happen. Like in Liar Liar, he can't tell a lie, and that was funny. Bruce Almighty, he meets God and has all of his powers now, and that's funny. Me, Myself, and Irene, he has a split personality, and that's funny. Here, he just has to say yes to everything, because if he doesn't, the universe basically will give him bad luck or something like that. Or not even bad luck, really. It's just like, nothing is really preventing him in this movie from saying no to everything here. Like, they put this guy in a lot of uncomfortable circumstances, or circumstances that are completely unnecessary. There's a part of the movie where, his next door neighbor, who's an older woman played by, I think it's Finola Flanagan. You've seen her in a lot of stuff before, but she wants to have sex with him, and, he keeps telling her no, and then after he goes through this thing, like, he has to have sex with her, and it's just like, why is that funny? Why do I feel like why do I need to watch that? He has an ex-wife in the movie played by, I think it's Molly Sims from Las Vegas. Like, there's a part of the movie where she wants to get back together with him, and he's already been better off without her, and yet the universe still has to come in and say, you gotta do it, because if you don't say yes, then life's gonna completely fall down on you. Or at least that's what they're trying to apply here. But yeah, nothing that happens in this movie makes any goddamn sense at all. Even at the very end, where he has to go to the guy who runs the seminar that tells him about this, Malcolm McDowell, or Terrence Stamp, excuse me, not Malcolm McDowell. I'm sorry, I got those two guys mixed up. Terrence Stamp, who basically tells him that it's complete bullshit. So if it's complete bullshit, then why the hell is everything going on around him then? Like, what's the takeaway from this movie? Like, what are you supposed to get out of it when this whole movie is basically just Jim Carrey just can't say yes to anything until somebody tells him, hey, say yes or bad things will happen to you. And again, there's no reason why all these things are happening to him if it's complete bullshit. Like, nothing about this makes any sense whatsoever. At least in something like Good Luck Chuck, there was a reason why Dane Cook had all these relationships where he breaks up with them, and then the next time they see him, she was already engaged. Like, they at least give you an explanation of that. You don't even need an explanation. One of the greatest examples, Groundhog Day. I think the greatest example. Like, you never find out why Bill Murray is reliving the same day over and over again, but you don't give a crap about it because you're so invested in what's going on regardless. And here, it just feels like they ran out of ideas as soon as they had the premise and they had Jim Carrey, because it's just like, well, Jim Carrey is very funny and he can make movies like this work, so let's just go ahead and let him do that. And as we've proven time and time again, like, Jim Carrey can make a lot of stuff work, but here, I really feel like he was pushing his luck on this one. And not only him, I feel like a lot of people that were involved in this really pushed their luck here, and it didn't end up working out in their favor. The directors of this is Peyton Reed, who very rarely misses. This may be his worst film overall. I'm actually checking to see what else he did. I mean, this is the guy that did Bring It On. This is the guy that did Down with Love, The Breakup, the Ant-Man movies. Even Quantumania, which is not the best movie of that series, was still more enjoyable than this is. I feel like this movie was sold on the concept. They didn't bother to write the script overall and have a reason why everything is happening here. But this is one of those ones where you need to explain what the hell's going on here. And these aren't written by schmucks either. The co-writer of this is Nicholas Stoller, who did Forgetting Sarah Marshall, one of the best comedy of the year. Neighbors 2. You have Jared Paul, who, he's been a writer on a number of different things. I mean, he's more known for, he started off working on television, doing stuff like Home Improvement, Seinfeld. You see him on a bunch of TV shows, but, this is the only thing he ever wrote in general. And I got him confused at first, because I thought it was the guy from the Virginity Hit, but that's Jared Duplass, and we'll eventually get to that one in 2010. But But yeah, there is talent across the board in this movie. It's produced by Richard D. Zanuck, who won the Academy Award for producing Driving Miss Daisy. David Heyman, he's in the news recently because he and Amy Pascal just got the James Bond job at MGM. There's talent all out throughout the film, even in the cast. I mean, Zooey Deschanel, Bradley Cooper, John Michael Higgins, Terrence Stamp, Rhys Darby, Danny Masterson, of course, before we found out he was a freaking creeper, Sasha Alexander, Molly Sims, Rocky Carroll from NCIS, Melanie Flanagan, Luis Guzman. There is a lot of good talent in this film, and I feel like there is a good idea here, but just not enough execution. I feel like the film was selling itself before they even knew how this was going to end. It really does feel like a film that really just does not work the way I think it wanted to, and it just backfires big time. And it is probably the worst film that Peyton Reed has ever directed as a whole. It's a film that should have been so much better than it actually is, but really just the fact that they had the idea, but they didn't have a good ending, and just basically just threw their hands up in the air and said, like, there's no reason for it whatsoever. This isn't even a real thing. It's just like, at that point, it's just like, okay, you've pretty much crossed the line on how much farther you can get along with this. And it would help if the stuff in there was funny, but there are very rarely few laughs in this movie. And bottom line, it's just a massive disappointment. It's a movie where there's so much talent there in the cast, the director, the writers, the producers. You expect so much more from them, but seeing this as being projected as the big holiday comedy hit, and it was a hit when it came out, but you ever notice that nobody ever really talks about it since then? Yeah, because it really is not as good as we make it out to be. And there's better movies. We'll have a better movie the week after this that's a fantasy comedy element where something mysterious happens to a certain comedic actor. We'll get to that next week, but this one, yeah, Yes Man, just say no. What I'm trying to say here is just say no to Yes Man. Plain and simple, So let's go ahead and get to the next movie we have here. Another disappointment from a respectable actor and the director as a whole. 7 Pounds, starring Will Smith.
God created the world, and in 7 seconds, I shattered mine.
What are you planning to do?
Ben Thomas has a secret.
I know I'm the girl with the broken wing, but who are you?
Only one person.
Why is she under the impression your name is Ben?
Will discover.
I don't want to keep lying to you.
Will Smith.
I haven't treated myself very well.
Start now.
From the director of The Pursuit of Happiness, 7 Pounds, rated PG-13, everywhere December 19th.
7 pounds. Oh, Will Smith then. I cry like a bitch a lot.
No doubt.
Well, that's all he does in this movie is f***ing cry.
I mean, that's pretty much what the movie is. Will Smith's crying like a bitch throughout the course of the movie because he wants that Oscar so badly. But at least The Pursuit of Happiness was a good movie. This one, oh my god, this is Oscar bait to the ultimate core, man. This is a movie where you have Will Smith as a man who sets out to change the lives of 7 people because he's gonna die. And this is not me spoiling it for you. This is literally how the movie begins. And, all throughout the course of the movie, he meets all these different people, and he eventually falls in love with Rosario Dawson, and he has a brother played by Michael Ealy, and one of the people he helps out is Woody Harrelson and Barry Pepper. I mean, there is a lot of good people in this movie, and a good director who the last time Will Smith worked with gave him a really good movie with The Pursuit of Happiness, which was also Oscar baity, but it was still a really good movie. But this, oh my god, this movie is so starving for an Academy Award. Will Smith is so starving for an Academy Award. You almost want to tell him, you know what, dude, here, take the Oscar already, for the love of God. And even then, if you really wanted that badly, just go on to eBay. I'm sure eBay in 2008 had one of these. Okay, I've said before that this is my last time I was going to put this out here, but as you can tell, this is a great prop to use when I'm trying to look at these movies that are begging for Oscars. Good movies, but also bad movies too. And yeah, again, I just love this thing, man. That's pretty much the reason why I put it out here, because yeah, this feels like the real thing. Okay, I'm putting it away. That joke's about it getting as old as my comedy gag that I do for bad comedies, but this movie really is terrible, and it's a movie that you get where they're trying to come across here. I mean, it's a good idea overall. You have this idea that Will Smith is this guy who's gonna die, and so he wants to change the lives of 7 different people that he meets. But but the problem is, the movie is supposed to make him likable. You don't like this dude whatsoever. I mean, this dude, like, he does all these things to get attention, pretty much. I mean, the first 5 minutes is him literally destroying this apartment complex and saying out all these names. It's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what am I supposed to take away from this? But on top of that, like, the way he's gonna do, like, I'll save that for the end, though, but what he does here is, in this movie, is that he searches for all these names, but he also is doing all this under a different name. A different name, like his brother is named Ben, and that's Michael Ealy. And there's even a point in the movie where it's just like, dude, why are you stealing my identity for? And it's just like none of this makes any sense whatsoever. What am I supposed to take away from him? Because the dude lies. Like, this dude lies to get attention, pretty much. And then the way he kills himself at the end is so badly put together. I mean, he's going to do it by killing himself, by putting a jellyfish in a tub of ice water with him inside of it. And hopefully that's going to sting him. And that already sounds stupid enough, but the way it's presented, I mean, this is supposed to be the big, serious tearjerker of the whole movie. And yet, when it finally happens, you can't help but laugh your ass off at how horribly funny this tragic moment is supposed to be. I mean, talk about a major misuse of tonal shifts. I mean, good lord. Like, just thinking about it right now is absolutely freaking hilariously bad. Like, this is everything that's wrong with an Oscar baitish movie like this. This is a film that nobody really paid attention to the script overall. This writer, Grant Niporte, I don't think has written anything notable. I mean, the most notable is, but then again, the other notable thing he ever wrote was Breakthrough. Remember that great movie that was supposed to, put our faith in this kid who was stupidly going into an icy river, a frozen river, and the ice breaks, and all of a sudden he's fighting for his life, but nobody's going to do anything because his Christian parents are saying that, no, God will do the work for you. It's just like, no, you deserve to die at that point. I'm sorry. And I can't believe, and it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense that the same writer who made that movie, which is so trying hard to get an Academy Award, this movie is written by the same person who made a movie that basically makes you want to root for somebody that you do not like at all. I'm surprised that this guy didn't write Dear Evan Hansen, because this reminded me so much of Dear Evan Hansen, because it's literally the same thing, where you have this kid who wants attention, and he basically makes up a lie, and instead of coming out and saying the truth, we have to keep going with this because we need to fill 2.5 hours. And yeah, this movie is just the perfect example of how not to make a movie like this, where you're supposed to like the main character and you don't like him at all. I am thankful that Will Smith finally got his Oscar for King Richard, a movie where he well deserved it. I mean, say what you will about the way he acted that night. He deserved to win that award, no matter what happened that night. He deserved to win it. He was great in King Richard. He wasn't giving a schlocky performance like he does in this movie. He was actually acting. He was acting his ass off, and it worked. It worked to that film's advantage. Here, it does not work at all. This is a terrible movie. This is a bad movie that is just melodramatic crap at its absolute worst. 7 Pounds is terrible. Avoid this movie like the plague. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Can we find a good movie this weekend? We have an animated feature now coming up here, The Tale of Despero.
Time. Upon a time. They don't even tell you what time that is yet. It's like you have to find that out. A rat caused a commotion. A princess became a prisoner. And a mouse went on an extraordinary adventure.
The princess! He's in danger!
Get him! From the beloved best-selling book. The Tale of Despero, rated G. In theaters December 19th.
As I said before, this is a pretty particular important movie for Universal because it was the last major animated movie they did before they eventually would make Illumination Entertainment their overall animation company, because in 2 years' time they would do Despicable Me, and the rest is history, the stuff that they've done since then. But mostly this is also back when the G rating still had merit. There was a purpose for its reason to exist, and not like now where they completely push it off to the side like it's a bad thing, like it's the equivalent of Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers with David Zaslav, but that's another thing altogether. But in this movie, based off the book, you have the tale of three unlikely heroes: a misfit mouse who prefers reading books to eating them, played by Matthew Broderick, an unhappy rat who schemes to leave the darkness of a dungeon, and a bumbling servant girl with cauliflower ears, played by Emma Watson, whose fates are intertwined with that of the castle's princess. And I think I read that wrong. Now the princess is named is voiced by Emma Watson, and the girl in question is, I believe, played by Tracy Ullman, if I'm not mistaken. But this has a big cast regardless. Sigourney Weaver narrates it. Matthew Broderick plays the title character of Despero. Robbie Coltrane's in here. Dustin Hoffman, Richard Jenkins, Kevin Kline, Frank Langella, William H. Macy, Kieran Hines, and of course the aforementioned Ullman and Watson. And it's not a bad movie, really. It really is not a bad film. I really didn't see it back in the day because I thought it was just, okay. This is one I was just probably never going to really get into, per se. And it just really didn't feel like it had much there. You have a mouse with Dumbo ears, or the Spill crew used to call it back then, Will Smith ears, because I guess he had big ears back then. But at the same time, it's just like, it just never really got my attention overall. And I would watch animated movies back then, but me, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is probably one I'm never going to watch. And then I finally watch it, and it's just like, it's not bad overall. I think it was mostly the Nostalgia Critic's review when he reviewed it not too long ago. Last month he reviewed it, but yeah, it's not that bad of a movie. It's actually kind of an enjoyable film. It's not a great movie overall. The story overall is pretty standard at best, but you do like all the actors in here. They are giving it their all. The animation is great. This is Framestore Animation, who, of course, have gone on to work on several notable animated movies as of late, and just a lot of movies in general. In fact, the blockbusters of the last 10 years, you probably have seen something where they provided the animation for it. One of the directors is Sam Fell, whose next film would be Paranorman, who, like animation's always been great, but Paranorman's one of their great films. This was written by Gary Ross, who is a prolific, well-known writer, who's written stuff like Dave. He wrote Pleasantville. He wrote and directed The Hunger Games. I think he also directed Pleasantville. The story's done by Will McRobb and Christopher Carty. A lot is notable Nickelodeon writers. So there is a lot of good talent all across the board in here. The biggest flaw of the film overall really is the story, which is something that we've seen done to death so many times before in the past. And yeah, it's very formulaic, but if that really is the worst thing about the movie in general, then the film can't really be all that bad if everything else is working. And everything else in here does work really well. You do like getting invested with the characters. And Matthew Broderick, this is probably the more restrained I've ever seen him as Despero. Like, he's not playing the same character the same actor that you see in The Producers or Inspector Gadget or Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, he's much more restrained in this. He actually is playing a good role in here where he's not really asked to do a whole lot, but he adds so much to the table, and he's very good in the role. It fits very well. I mean, there's always been this kind of this flack against him, and he's made some bad movies. I mean, Inspector Gadget, Deck the Halls, but you forget that he's pretty good in The Producers. He's a great actor who's been around for so many years in Broadway, and this is the guy that spent the early parts of his career working with some really incredible, talented people. Ken Jennings, good Lord. I say that because there was literally a Jeopardy commercial on the TV that when I'm doing my review of this, but because I got it on Game Show Network right now. But anyway, I'm talking about, he worked with John Hughes back in the day. He worked with Neil Simon. I mean, he did movies with Marlon Brando, Dustin Hoffman, Sean Connery. I mean, this guy is such a talented actor overall, and he's worked with some of the greatest actors of all time, and he's really not as bad as I think people make him out to be. And yeah, he's really good in this film, and everybody here plays their parts very well. It's a good movie overall. The story overall just is the biggest flaw of it. But other than that, though, everything else about it was surprisingly really good. I'm actually glad I got to see it because it is something that actually is worth watching. And yeah, if you like a lot of animated movies and want to see one of the last ones Universal did before they went on the Illumination train, Tale of Despero is definitely the way to go. It's one I definitely recommend checking out. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to easily the best movie of the weekend, and that's Darren Aronofsky's latest film, The Wrestler.
The Wrestler is the winner of 2 Golden Globes.
I'm an old, broken-down piece of meat.
Including Best Actor, Mickey Rourke.
I don't want you to hate me.
It's the performance of a lifetime.
I'm here.
The film of the year. The Wrestler. In cinemas now.
I mean, can you see why it's the best movie this weekend? It's one of the best movies of the year. The Wrestler is such a good movie. And this, you can see that, hey, Mickey Rourke still has some talent left in him. I mean, he was on a slow comeback pace in the second half of the decade, starting off with Sin City and then this movie, but, he hasn't really done anything of noteworthiness since then, and it felt like the comeback was just so quick for him. I mean, he could have really had that Robert Downey Jr. type of comeback, but, I mean, he just kept taking really bad movies one after another after this point. But in the movie, he plays a aging professional wrestler who, despite his failing health and waning fame, continues to wrestle due to financial hardships. And in an attempt to cling to the success of his 1980s heyday, he also tries to mend his relationship with his estranged daughter, played by Evan Rachel Wood, and to find romance with a woman who works as a stripper, played by Marissa Tomei. And, if there's anything I can nitpick this movie for, there's a part of the movie where you see her at the strip club. I mean, Marissa Tomei has not aged at all. She's gotten hotter as time has gone on. But you're going to tell me that the people in the strip club are going to look at Marissa Tomei as a stripper and be like, oh, you're too old. You're not worthy enough to be on a stripper pole. It's just like, it's fuck you. Like, if there's anything I could say against the movie, it's that. But that's just nitpicking, because this is an overall really good movie with all these great performances. I mean, Marissa Tomei, I mean, people forget that she can also be a really good actress, too. I mean, yes, she won the Oscar for My Cousin Vinny, but she's made a lot of really good movies and proven that she is more than worthy of winning an Academy Award. Mickey Rourke should have won an Oscar for this. Yeah, I really feel like he should have been the front runner for this, but for some reason they decided to give Sean Penn another Oscar because he's Sean Penn, and I liked him. Like I said, I liked him in Milk, but he is definitely not the best performance compared to these other performances and the performances that were nominated that year. I mean, Frank Langella, and especially Mickey Rourke. Like I said, Mickey Rourke should have won this Oscar easily, but yeah, this movie overall is really good. And Darren Aronofsky, this is another one of his great films overall. The writer of this, Robert Siegel, has actually made a lot of good stuff as of late. He wrote Pam and Tommy and Welcome to Chippendales on Hulu. Both are absolutely fantastic, especially Pam and Tommy with Lily James and also Sebastian Stan playing Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee. Both are really good in that. That's one I highly recommend checking out. And yeah, this is definitely a master craftsman film with all these really good, talented people working on this project and coming together to make something incredible and entertaining, and showing that a lot of these people that are in here still can act their ass off, and they are all very good in here. What more can I say, man? The Wrestler is an amazing film, and one you should definitely check out. It's one of the year's best films, no question about it. The Wrestler, see this film. You need to see it.
There's nothing like the experience of raising your first dog. Of course, that kid's not even me. That's me. And that crazy hound I'm chasing is Marley, the world's worst dog.
Sorry!
But our story begins before Marley was born.
Dream house. Paint a Barney on the wall and you have a great little playroom. You guys are gonna have kids, right?
Yes.
You want my advice? Get a puppy or something. I've never had a dog. There's nothing to it. You walk them, you feed them, you let them out every now and again.
This Christmas, get ready for a surprise.
1, 2, 3.
They're adorable. Hi, puppy.
Marley, this is our house. And now it's yours. Marley, you can't go through a screen door. It's just like a little kid, except no fur here.
That's not a dog. That is evil with a dog face. Yep.
He did an answering machine and then went back and had the phone for dessert.
A dog can only have one master. Which one of you has the most authority in your relationship?
Well, maybe I'll stand over there for the beginning.
I thought so.
Obviously, this is based off of the book of the same name, and in this movie you have Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston starring as a newspaper writing couple, John and Jennifer, who moved to Florida in an attempt to stall Jennifer's biological clock. John decides to get her a puppy, with the puppy named Marley growing into a 100-pound dog. He loses none of his puppy energy or rambunctiousness. Meanwhile, Marley gains no self-discipline, and Marley's antics gives John rich material for his newspaper column. As the girl gets mature and have children of their own, Marley continues to test everyone's patience by acting like the world's most impulsive dog. And yeah, just like if you've read the book, this is pretty much straightforward, everything that's in the book in general, and it is what it is. It's a mostly lighthearted, fun movie overall, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the ending is gonna make you cry your tears out of you, cry your ass off, especially if you have a dog, and you know. Unfortunately, we know they're not going to live forever, and just when you see this dog die at the end of the movie, it's just every time I think about it, man, I start choking up, man. Like it's hard to lose a pet in real life. I've had that happen before, but seeing it happen in this movie, man, it's just like it's rough. It's a rough scene to watch, but that's just part of life in general. And the movie overall is a good movie. It's a very well-made film. Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston work off each other very well. Marley is really cute, is really good, a fun dog to watch in this. I mean, who doesn't love a dog like this? I mean, the dog looks unbelievably cute, and yeah, he's a crazy dog. I have a crazy dog too, but not to the levels of Marley. But yeah, but this is what you expect from a movie like this. I mean, based off of a great book overall, and yeah. It is what it is, and it will make you bawl your eyes out at the end of it because everybody's been through that same situation before, and yeah, it's a really, really good movie overall. I mean, there's not much more to really say about it per se. It is what it is. I'm not going in there you shouldn't go in there expecting a grand, masterful adaptation of the book in general. This is a very well-made adaptation of the book, and it was the big hit of the holiday season, and really, it's not that hard to see why. So that is Marley and Me. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie we have here, and that is Adam Sandler starring in a Disney movie, Bedtime Stories.
So, guys, let me ask you something. What the heck is on my head right now?
Bugsy.
Why do you call him Bugsy?
Because of his eyes.
Those would be big on a cow.
Skeeter?
Sis.
I'm getting laid off. I got a couple interviews set up in Arizona. I need you to watch the kids.
I'll do it. But you gotta say, Skeeter is the coolest, I am a nerd.
Skeeter's the coolest, I'm a nerd.
Yeah, you are. All right. Good night, you guys.
Tell us the bedtime story.
Okay, here we go. Once upon a time, the greatest of all the heroes was Skeeterkus. And then...
It started raining gumballs.
It started raining gumballs. That's weird.
From Walt Disney Pictures.
Last night I told my sister's kids a bedtime story and it came true.
This is gold.
Yeah.
He may have found a way
I got a new story I want to lay on you.
to solve his family's problems forever.
How can I ever thank you?
I'll take $100 million.
But there's no telling
Then an angry dwarf kicks him.
how the stories are going to end.
Where's the $100 million? So the kids control the stories.
This Christmas, every day is a new adventure.
Don't you think we should get out of this rain?
What rain? Oh, shoot! Where did that come from?
I don't know. Isn't it amazing?
Oh, that's not the ending.
What do you mean?
Somebody threw a fire on Skeeto.
You want me to catch on fire?
Adam Sandler.
You just gotta take some precautions. Flame resistant spray. Sir, that's for Christmas trees.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on now. It doesn't hurt that bad. Oh, you're right. That hurts.
Bedtime Stories.
Yeah, you know how yesterday we talked about how Yes Man was a bad example of how to make a high-concept fantasy comedy? Here you have one that actually does it very well. I mean, this is pretty much Adam Sandler's equivalent to something like Night at the Museum, except instead of him being a museum night guard and everything's coming to life, what basically happens here is that he plays a hotel handyman, and he tells his stories to his niece and nephew that end up coming true. Like, he'll tell a story, like in the trailer you see, they'll tell a story, and then the kids will be like, it started raining gumballs, and then the very next day, it starts raining gumballs. But the trailer kind of overlooks what really causes that. Because what's funny about this is that like, it's raining gumballs, but you don't see the joke after that, where it's a gumball truck that actually is tipping over underneath, is actually just crashed underneath the bridge, and that's why the gumballs are falling out. And, you know, he keeps telling these stories hoping to improve his status overall, and, you know, he finds out that the kids are really controlling the story. He tries to get with Kerry Russell, who plays this teacher of a school that they want to tear down so they can build this new hotel. Courtney Cox is also in here playing his sister, who's really underused in this movie. I mean, she's literally in only 2 scenes, but the trailer makes it seem like she's in there for more than that, but no, not really. You have a cast that also includes Guy Pearce, Aisha Tyler, Russell Brand, Richard Griffiths, Teresa Palmer, Lucy Lawless. So there is a good amount of talent here. It's not the smartest movie ever. It's a very silly movie. It's a film that is so ridiculous and so stupid, but a good fun kind of stupid. I mean, the opening shot of that trailer alone with the guinea pig with the big googly eyes, like, it's literally googly eyes, and I laughed at that. It's silly, it's ridiculous, but I give him credit for at least doing something funny with that, and not just going for like incredibly cheap looking CGI. Like, it looks like they just put the big googly eyes on him, and just like, yeah, it's not smart in general, but it's fun. It's a fun movie, and I think kids can really enjoy it. I think adults can really get a lot of enjoyment out of it, too. It's one of Adam Sandler's better movies in general, considering that this is the first ever time he's ever appeared in a family film. I didn't realize that, but yeah, this was before Hotel Transylvania. This was before all those movies. But yeah, this is a really good movie. It's a really fun film. It's a perfect movie to go see with the family during the holiday season, and I think if you go into it with the right mindset, you can find a lot of enjoyable values to it. I think there is a lot of fun moments in there. It isn't dumbing your kids down either. Like, it's one of those family films that knows, yeah, we're going to be stupid, but we're not going to insult your kids' intelligence with this. Like, I like the fact that they don't go down the same kind of generic routes all across the board. A lot of the stuff they do in here is very fun overall, and there is a little bit of creativity with some of the ways that they do this type of stuff. Like, there's this whole thing where the whole thing with the kids having control of the storyline, and you see in the trailer, like, one of the things is that, you know, he's got to catch on fire. Like Adam Sandler thinks he's got to catch on fire, but you'll later find out that that is not what that meant, and I'm not even going to say it here because I think you can pretty much figure out what the other meaning of that would be, But overall, yeah, this is a really good movie. This is a film that is very enjoyable. It's silly, it's stupid, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun, and you can definitely tell the creativity was definitely there. It's one of Adam Sandler's better movies, honestly. It's one of those ones where you don't really think about it all that much, but when you watch it, just like, this really is not as bad as people would make it out to be. This is actually almost to the level of something that could be seen as a good movie overall, had they been a little bit more clever with the storyline in general, but it is what it is, and it works very well for what it is. I think it's a very enjoyable film. Bedtime Stories. It's definitely one to check out. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. One of the best movies of the year, easily. Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett and David Fincher's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Never know what's coming for you.
My name is Benjamin Button.
What in God's name?
And I was born under unusual circumstances.
Infirmity's not of a newborn, but of a man well in his 80s on his way to the grave.
He's dying?
Old age.
Oh, God in heaven. He looks just like my ex-husband.
I didn't know I was a child. I thought I was an old man in the twilight of his life.
How old are you?
7, but I look a lot older.
He's 7.
You are a different child. People aren't gonna understand just how different you are.
Benjamin, you are looking strikingly youthful.
And one afternoon, I met the person who changed my life forever.
Are you sick?
They said I was gonna die soon, but maybe not.
You're odd.
What if I told you that I wasn't getting older, but I was getting younger than everybody else? Daisy? It's me, Benjamin.
Oh my God. We always said you were different. I think you really are.
Everybody feels different about themselves one way or another. We all going the same way. Just taking different roads to get there, that's all.
I want to remember us just as we are now.
You're in your own world, Benjamin. What's it like growing younger?
I can't really say. I'm always looking out my own eyes. Our lives are defined by opportunities.
We're not little children anymore, Benjamin.
Even the ones we miss. I was thinking how nothing lasts. What a shame that is.
Some things last.
I absolutely love this movie. This is very high up there with one of my favorite movies of the year. This stars Brad Pitt, who plays Benjamin Button, a person who was born not as a child, but as an old man. And from that point, he begins to age backwards, going from old to young. And the whole story of his life is being told from his journal, being read in 2005 by his daughter, played by Julia Ormond, in this hospital that is taking place, I believe, during Hurricane Katrina. And his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Daisy, played by Cate Blanchett, in a role that should have gotten her the Academy Award that year. But, throughout the movie, we meet all these other characters, from a sea captain that offers Benjamin a job to an older woman who has an affair with Benjamin, played by Tilda Swinton. And also, you have Taraji P. Henson, who also got a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for this, a well-deserved Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination. And also, Brad Pitt was nominated, Best Director, David Fincher, Best Picture. This really should have been the winner, the winner of the Oscars that year. I I like Slumdog Millionaire. I really do like that film a lot, but this movie should have gotten something out of it, man. No, it did. It won 3 Oscars for art direction, makeup, and visual effects, which, again, not hard to see why, because, yeah, this really is a great movie. This is a film that is so well done. David Fincher, his direction, I think, works very well here. It's actually one of the weaker parts of the movie in general, but even then, it's more of a nitpicky thing, per se, because it's David Fincher doing what David Fincher does so well. A great script by Eric Roth and Robin Secord, a cast that includes a lot of great talent, great makeup all across the board. It's a very good movie, and the thing is that the movie goes all the way with it. I think the movie pulling off pulling out the biggest punch at the end by, kind of like with Marley and Me, it has kind of a downer ending where that, Benjamin Button's dies a baby, and yeah, they actually go through with it, and it's surprisingly really well done. It's a perfect send-off to the storyline, and it's a very rough scene to watch, but it fits with the mode of what they're trying to accomplish here, and the film itself just works all across the board. It's a very good movie. It's one of David Fincher's best movies. It's one of Brad Pitt's best movies in general. It's a terrific film. I can't recommend this one enough. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, one of my favorite movies of all time. And now the polar opposite, the movie that I recently considered to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, in my top 4 actually, but this movie also holds several merits, but I'll be quick on this one since I just covered it on the Reviewing Network Talks About. This is The Spirit.
We have to show the world that not all of us will like him. That is not enough for me. What did you have in mind? We have to kill Hitler. Can I count you in?
Any problem can be solved with explosives.
Operation Valkyrie's in effect. If they catch you, they will pull you apart. Hitler's Germany has seen its last sunrise.
Valkyrie, rated PG-13. The conspiracy begins this December.
Or Valkyrie. I knew this was going to happen because when I was putting the footage together from all the different movies I was covering this week, I completely forgot to put the trailer for Valkyrie in there, so I had to get that in there, and I knew I was going to do that. I knew I was going to forget that one. So before we delve into The Spirit, let's talk about a movie that's not quite as good as The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but it's certainly nowhere near as bad as The Spirit is. That's Valkyrie, directed by Bryan Singer and starring Tom Cruise in the second of his 2 films that he did with United Artists when he was in control of the company there for a little bit. But in this movie, it's taking place in Nazi Germany during World War II and depicts the July 20th, 1944 plot by German army officials to assassinate Adolf Hitler and use the Operation Valkyrie National Emergency Plan to take control of the country. And it stars Cruise as Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberger, one of the key plotters, and a cast that also includes Kenneth Branagh, Bill Nighy, Eddie Izzard, Terrence Stamp, and Tom Wilkinson. It's directed by Bryan Singer and also co-written by Christopher McQuarrie, who did The Usual Suspects and features a lot of the same people that Bryan Singer worked with in the past. And this was a film that also went through a lot of production problems. The casting for Tom Cruise in particular caused a lot of controversy among German politicians and members of the von Stauffenberg family due to the actor's practice of Scientology, which was viewed with suspicion in Germany. And because of this, the filmmakers initially had difficulty setting up filming locations in Germany, but they were later given to such areas as Berlin's historic Bender block, and German newspapers and filmmakers supported the film in its intentions to spread global awareness of von Stauffenberg's plot. And the film also had several release dates. It was supposed to come out in the middle of June that year, and then got pushed back to February, and then they pushed it back ahead to Christmas because of a positive test screening. And then they had to just change the marketing campaign to not put the focus on Tom Cruise and more on Bryan Singer. And it was just a colossal misfire, misrepresentation of this movie in general that could have easily destroyed the film in general. Even though it did make money. It brought in $200 million worldwide. It was seen as a hit in general, but it was largely forgotten as soon as it came out. And it really shouldn't, because I saw it and it was just like, it's actually a really good movie. It's a movie where you see, like, if Tom Cruise had better control of the United Artists studio at the time, if he made more movies like this, he could have helped to rejuvenate the studio in general. But it's funny, because I'm saying this about United Artists. They just announced at CinemaCon that they're bringing back United Artists with Scott Stuber, who had been running Amazon and also some other studios, to bring it back over for the Amazon MGM Studios, and because their CinemaCon thing was going on at the time of recording this. But Valkyrie really is a really good movie. It really is an engaging film with a lot of good performances from the 6 main actors. Bryan Singer shows you that, hey, this guy can still direct a damn good movie, and he does it very well here. You know, the war elements here are very good. It's a very engaging thriller. You get caught up in how they're going to pull this off. It's a really good film. It's a really damn good film. It's definitely a film that I think deserves a lot more attention, because it really did show that, hey, Tom Cruise was still doing a pretty good job at acting, even when he was making these films that weren't being the biggest hits in general. This was kind of his lull period before he eventually came back in 2011 with Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. But here's a movie where it actually does work very well for him. It's a very good film, one I highly recommend checking out. You should definitely check out Valkyrie. Okay, so let me just make sure that we are moving on to The Spirit next. Yep, we're moving on to The Spirit next.
The Spirit.
He's something the world needs.
I'm on my way. Rated PG-13. In theaters everywhere Christmas Day.
I mean, do I really need to say anything more that I didn't say already on the Reviewing Network Talks about not too long ago? I hate this movie so much, and yes, this was the first movie I ever walked out of in my entire life. I've been going to the movies on my own for 4 years up to this point. I've been going to the movies for 13 years up to that point too, but this movie, this stupid movie, like, this is a really dumb movie, and I guess I gotta run down the plot here for you, but down these mean streets a man must come, a hero born, murdered, and born again, when a rookie cop named Denny Cope, played by Gabriel Mott, returns from the beyond as the Spirit, a hero whose mission is to fight against the bad forces for the shadows of Central City. The Octopus, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who kills anyone unfortunate enough to see his face with his own other plans, who has other plans. He's going to wipe out the entire city. The Spirit tracks the cold-hearted killer from the city's rundown warehouses to the damp catacombs to the windswept waterfront, all the while facing a bevy of beautiful women who either want to seduce, love, or kill the masked crusader. So basically, this is basically a swinger who's become a superhero, and that's really the main focus of the movie, because, yeah, every woman in this movie wants to bang this guy for no reason whatsoever. It's just like, you're supposed to accept that. Like, it's just like, this movie is such a disaster. I mean, the moment I walked out was when they when they fry the cat with this stupid device that they use, and this stupid disease that they use, and then they show the eyes going into the sink. It's just like, I couldn't take it anymore. I literally left the theater and asked for a refund back, which is funny because I paid with a free movie ticket, and I at least got $7 back. So I made $7 leaving that movie early. But it's just like, I don't try to leave movies early. I try to stay with it for as long as I can. I've only walked out of 3 movies in my entire life. I've walked out of this one. I walked out of Aliens in the Attic, and I thought I remembered the third one, but I know I've walked out of 3 movies before in my life. This was just an awful, awful movie. This is a terrible film. I think Frank Miller has to be at the forefront of this. This is his baby. He's all over the this is his movie he wrote. He directed this. This is a PG-13 movie, which was dead on arrival to begin with. Why would you release this on Christmas Day of all weekends? Like, it's the only reason you do that is because you don't have any faith in it, and you just dump it out there because you could obviously have no faith in it whatsoever. What more can you say, man? This movie is awful. If you want to hear all my thoughts on that movie in a longer review, just go ahead and watch my review for it over on the Reviewing Network Talks About. It's my 4th worst movie I've ever seen in my life. The first movie I've ever walked out of in my life. That should tell you everything you need to know. The Spirit fucking sucks. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get to, what are we going to next here? Let's get back to some Oscar bait movies here. Some good, some not so much. This is kind of in the middle. This is Reservation Road.
Be happy here. I can make you happy here. We're gonna be okay.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Or it's Revolutionary Road. Hey, it's the last few hours before my focus is going to be put on the Steel City Con, because we got to go set up tomorrow. So I'm trying to get this out as quickly as I can. And so, yeah, I apologize for not being more professional on this, but that's why I'm kind of out of it right now. But if you've ever wanted to see what would have happened if Jack and Rose survived the Titanic, here's what would happen. They would be a bickering couple who refuse to just admit that their marriage is coming to an end, because that's literally what the fucking movie's all about. You have them starring as the Wheelers, struggling to cope with their personal problems and their ensuing breakdown in their marriage. Think of it as a precursor to Marriage Story, except nowhere near as memeable, and there's not a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio goes, "Every day I wake up, I wish you were dead," bangs the wall, and just has to go, cries like, yeah, none of that is in this movie. But what you get in here is some good stuff here and there. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet are a bickering couple, and that can get old in a film really quickly, but they work here because, yeah, these are 2 really damn good actors. But the real highlight of the movie in this case is Michael Shannon. He was the only actor in this to get nominated for any acting awards. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. This movie really shows that the guy has a lot of good talent in this movie. He's really great as the buddy that Leonardo DiCaprio goes to. I mean, he's really good in the movie. Like, he is the one that you come away from this movie going like, man, this guy is really the star of this film. And it's just like, why can't more people put him in more movies? And sure enough, they put him in more movies after this, and he's been so-so since then. I mean, he's still a good actor, but I don't know. Man of Steel is probably the biggest thing he's done up to this point, and even then, that wasn't that great overall. But you also have people like Catherine Hahn in here, David Harbour, Kathy Bates. So there is a good cast overall in this movie, but the film itself is just okay. It's not great, it's not bad, but the one thing you take away from this movie is that Michael Shannon's pretty amazing in this. And also, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet are good as well. These are good actors who can make a film like this that could be could easily fall apart pretty quickly because it's literally just a bickering couple. It works because these 2 know how to make it entertaining, and they do know how to make it entertaining here. And Sam Mendes directed it too, so there are a lot of things to say that's enjoyable about it. Not one of his better movies, but good enough for me to say for a one-time watch, maybe it's definitely worth it. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here about another couple, this time played by Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson. This is Last Chance Harvey.
Rolling Stone calls Last Chance Harvey too good to resist. This romantic comedy is the season's brightest gift.
I'm gonna dance your socks off.
Academy Award winners Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson. Last Chance Harvey, rated PG-13.
Which, when you first think of that title, my first thought is that this is the sequel where Jimmy Stewart's had enough of Harvey. It's just like, Last Chance Harvey, you better come out here before I beat your fucking ass. Like, I don't think Jimmy Stewart's ever sworn in his life, and even if he did, he probably did it behind the scenes. But anyway, this movie, I'm getting completely off subject here, but this movie focuses on two lonely people who tentatively forge a relationship during 2 days. Dustin Hoffman plays the title character of Harvey Shine, an American television commercials jingle composer who travels to England for his estranged daughter's wedding and promptly loses his job, and Emma Thompson plays an airport hospitality worker with a jaundiced view of relationships. So in a way, it's kind of like an older version of something like a Before Sunrise, and I really like movies like this. I mean, these movies where you basically are following this couple just walking around talking about their problems in general and exploring the sites in general. I mean, this is a really good this is a really good form for some really good storylines here. Like the Before Sunrise trilogy is the perfect example of that. And then we also have stuff like Rye Lane, which just came out not too long ago, and South Side with You, the movie about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama going on their first date. And it takes place on the night of their first date. Like, this is another one of those movies that's very much like that. And it surprisingly really works. Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson have a lot of really good chemistry together in here, and they are very entertaining to watch in this. You have a cast that also includes James Brolin and Kathy Baker. This director, Joel Hopkins, is somebody that I feel like I should know who he is, but I don't know what he's done. I don't think he's done anything else I've seen from him. I mean, he was considered to direct Nanny McPhee, but he basically couldn't get that part in general. So, yeah, the only other thing I see him that he was known for was Jump Tomorrow, which I don't think I covered that one, but also The Love Punch and Hampstead. So this is the only film I've ever seen from him, but it is actually a very good little underrated film. It's a film that really kind of comes out of nowhere. It's a film that doesn't really have anything new, engaging to say, but it works because you're getting by on the great performances by its two leading actors. And Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson make this work really well. It's a film I highly recommend checking out. A very underrated film from these two. Last Chance Harvey definitely is one that is indeed worth a watch. So let's go ahead and wrap this up here and take a look at the last movie we have here. And that's the animated feature, Waltz with Bashir. So yeah, a very interesting and very unique animated feature film from director Ari Folman, and it depicts Folman's search for lost memories of his experience as a soldier during the 1982 Lebanon War and the Sabra and Shatila massacre. It's also the first Israeli feature-length animated feature release since Joseph the Dreamer in 1962, and went on to go ahead and win all these accolades, get nominated for the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film. And it's a very interesting and stylistic, cool-looking film. This is a film that uses cutout animation in a documentary style. It's a very intriguing film that keeps you invested in what's going on here. It's a documentary. I didn't realize that until I watched it again, that this is a film that really is one of the more unique documentaries you'll ever see, because it doesn't do the same format that you see in other documentary films. It's a film that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It keeps you invested with the animation that they've got going on here. And not only that, the story is really engaging, the music is very well done, the editing is top-notch, and yeah, just these images are just so beautiful to look at, and it's just, we don't usually see movies like this anymore, and it's a shame because there's a lot there that really, I was really thinking that maybe this could be the start of something new and going forward, but nobody's ever really had the opportunity to go in and try to do this again. I don't think this director's done anything since then. I could be wrong on that, but let me just see. I take that back. He has done a couple of other things I've never seen before, like The Congress and Where is Anne Frank, which, I mean, I've never seen them before, but considering that they're animated and they're also the same style and style of this movie in general, it makes me do kind of want to see it. So I am really curious to see these movies going forward. I might cover them when we get to them down the line here at some point, but yeah, Waltz with Bashir is an amazing, amazing film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. If you like stuff like Flow and The Boy in the Haran and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, these independent animated movies, here's one here that just really deserves to be seen. It's such a cool, stylistic film. Keeps you invested in the storyline. It is just such an incredible, incredible film. Definitely check it out. Waltz with Bashir.